How do you feel about Elon Musk's salutes during the inauguration? Story 1. One of the richest men in the world that has unnatural amount of influence over the US president does a Nazi salute. Bad. I naturally feel bad about it. Story 2. It was on Conservative. Someone was actually questioning it and bringing to light how horrible it is. It's now deleted. It was up for less than 15 minutes. Story 3. My true feelings about this would get me banned from this website. All I will say is that it is wildly unacceptable, and any competent administration would have him ejected from his position before the end of the day. If a member of Biden's administration did this in 2020, the right would be calling for their head on a platter. Story 4. Just a reminder that I believe his grandparents were Nazis and that his dad gave him a name from a sci-fi book written by another Nazi, Werner von Braun. Edit. Lots of you are upset that I've called von Braun a Nazi. You can be a successful aerospace engineer and a member of the SS simultaneously, and get away with all the pesky Nazi stuff if the US needs you to build rockets for them badly enough. Story 5. They've won. They don't have to hide. I have friends and family members laughing it off, saying it's a joke or that he is weird, and it's him saying his heart goes out to those who support him. I'm not kidding. We're cooked. Story 6. He seemed really smug and proud of what he'd done for someone who looked like he was having some sort of ketamine fit. Embarrassing execution by an evil man. Glad I'm not American. Worried that America has nukes. Story 7. Texted my dad the video of him doing the salute. Him being a Trump supporter had the following explanations. He wasn't doing a Nazi salute. He did it, but he was showing where we were versus where we are going. It was actually Hail to the Chief. That's a song. Oh yeah, but Joe Biden is a commie. I have never been so disappointed in my own father. Story 8. I'm glad he did it. I knew this was who he was. Now he's made it obvious to the world. There's no denying it. No more stop being dramatic. They're not really Nazis. Story 9. The conservative sub is saying that he was telling the crowd my heart goes out to you all, and then grabbing his heart and throwing it to the crowd. So that's how they're rationalizing it if you were wondering. Story 10. Emotionally, he's an infant, he has no filter, and his actions are dictated entirely by his juvenile whims. I think because of this, he's a terrible person, and what he chose to do is revolting. It's like asking me how I feel about an angry toddler's actions. I'm definitely not going to agree with them. The Americans made their bed, now they get to sleep in it. Unfortunately, those of us with functioning brains are being dragged into it as well. Story 11. I feel like this is the moment where Americans have to actually wake up and stand up for what they believe in. This whole plot feels oddly familiar as a German. Story 12. As someone looking from across the pond, I've got to say I found it pretty harrowing. It was one of those "oh, have we got a real problem here" type moments. I might be reading too much into it, but I thought had a look on his face immediately after the salute of someone who has been working up to that moment and is releasing some of the suppression. I have no horse in the race of American politics, but it's the first time I've had that really unsettled feeling. Story 13. I feel like there are only 3 realities to this situation, and all 3 of them are quite awful. A. He knew exactly what he was doing and he did it on purpose for anti-Semitic neo-Nazi reasons. So there's an open neo-Nazi in federal government doing Hitler salutes on live television. B. He knew exactly what he was doing, and while he wasn't doing it for neo-Nazi purposes, he did it as a joke or troll. So there's someone who thinks doing neo-Nazi trolling on live television is funny in federal government. C. He didn't actually know that what he was doing was specifically a neo-Nazi salute. So there's someone who has a critical lack of historical knowledge of arguably the worst period of time in the 20th century in federal government. None of those are okay. Story 14. How do I feel? A fucking Nazi threw a Nazi salute at the inauguration. I feel sick, but probably not as sick as a World War II veteran would feel. Trump should drop Musk like Aldo Rain would drop a Nazi. Story 15. Every single Trump supporter. You people are disgusting human scum. 74 million people voted for this. I don't care. We'll make history once again. Remember when we asked why did people allow the Holocaust to happen? It's exactly like this. Hitler was voted president because he villainized the Jews while MAGA villainized Hispanics. Story 16. People who say this is accidental or whatever. Well, I've never accidentally performed a Nazi salute in my life. It's easy to not do it. Elon Musk did that Nazi salute on purpose, twice front and back. Story 17. Reddit does not allow me to say the things I want to say in response to it. Instead, I will wish Elon Musk everything he deserves, in whatever form that might be. Story 18. Personally, I don't think it was a Nazi salute. I understand the similarities, but if you watch the clip with audio, it's pretty clearly just a gesture he makes in reference to what he says. Edit. I never said I liked the man-child, or that he wasn't fascist. I just don't think it was a genuine Nazi salute. Story 19. When I read the title, I thought he cringily did a military salute while not being in the military, which it were that. The salute to the crowd shows a striking resemblance to a Nazi salute. When he turns around and salutes presumably the Führer, that's pretty much a Nazi salute. Hard to defend it as anything else. He's clearly doing a Nazi salute, so that's not really in question. The charitable view is that he just thought it would be funny and a good troll to do a Hitler salute at a presidential inauguration again. That's the charitable view. This is what happens when you become so rich that you will never experience consequences for your actions. Everything just becomes a game. Like, this man can ruin your life for fun by just dropping a Brinks truck on you, and he will do it if he thinks it'll be fun. That's really the takeaway people should always remember. Story 20. My guess is Trump and Musk could literally come out and say we're Nazi and 48 of the country still wouldn't budge. I mean, it was already obvious whether there's good people on both sides in response to the white supremacists' march in Charlottesville in 2017. Half the country remains enablers of white supremacy. Story 21. You guys gotta settle down. This is ridiculous. Edit. Hey race Kamala doing the same thing. You guys gotta chill. Story 22. People will be outraged for around 24 hours and then move on to the next thing they'll be outraged by. Because it's going to keep happening over and over again, and then they'll keep getting away with it over and over again. Story 23. Please watch the video. He said my heart goes to you and gestured grabbing his heart and throwing it at people. Yet again, ultra-lib propaganda hiding the truth. Story 24. I genuinely can't believe it. I used to on my mom for saying the Holocaust could happen again, and I have been very soberly put in my place over the last 8 years. I'm frankly terrified to watch what happens to America next, but right behind being scared, I'm fucking angry every Trump voter, and even every non-voter has some culpability for this. You brought this here, and I am full of hatred for every person complicit in this fucking nightmare. Story 25. Not surprised. But his ball-gargling fanboys are already coming to his rescue. He is a piece of, and so are his stupid fucking mouth-breathing, room-temperature IQ simps. Story 26. He did it twice in less than 30 seconds. He knew what he was doing. The Nazis and white nationalists are thrilled. The richest person in the world is apparently pro-Nazi. Story 27. He's such an incredibly awkward person that I honestly can't tell whether he's trying to be a Nazi or whether he's just being an awkward nerd high on the moment. I think Musk's an incredibly dangerous person. I'm just not sure this is further proof that he is. Story 28. This probably isn't the thread for this, but after reading everyone's comments concerning the South African butt monkey's actions today, I have to ask a serious question for context. Maybe there's something I'm missing. How is this not American person even part of our government? I'd gaff what Trump said or did to put him there. Is it even legal? Even the ever-popular governor couldn't do more than be governor and people freaking loved him and still do, so WT, I noticed their conservative has nothing on there about it. I can't believe this. My grandparents were in concentration camps and it's not even 2 generations later. Here we are. America is abhorrent and I've lost all respect for them. I worry about the stat of the rest of the world and what this becomes. Remember folks, this is 10 minutes after he took office. What will they do in the span of 4 years? Story 29 in French. WW2 is a topic we heavily study as it's an extremely and big part of our history. We have a gigantic amount of documents, pictures, videos, testimonies, and real-life traces of what happened and how. We face it entirely, from our disgraceful defeat, our brave resistance and shameful collaborators. Every French family has a story to tell about the war, heritage from our grandparents. We know what we're talking about. What Elon Musk did is a Nazi salute, there's no doubt about it, but you can argue about it all day long. It doesn't even matter. It's not even the important part. The important part is not the salute, the provocation. It is about what he stands for, his ideas. It's fascism. Not even special or new or American kind of fascism. It's a fucking old-school Nazi Germany fascism. Story 30. I have a Republican friend who is gay and loves Trump and Elon. I genuinely don't get it, but he's always got an answer for anything I bring up today. It was that the clip was out of context, and it means he was throwing his heart. I just can't argue anymore. You can't change their minds. They're showing us who we are. Story 31. He was raised in apartheid South Africa. He has multiple lawsuits against him for discriminating against black employees. People kept ignoring all the racist he said. It shouldn't surprise anyone. Everyone who refused to call him what he is complicit. Story 32. If you're justifying his actions because he has autism, I will tell you on behalf of the rest of the autism community, we are not Nazis. Autism didn't make him this way, his bigotry did. Reddit is absolutely insane. My heart goes out to you. Zom Nazi salute. Never change. It's sad but hilarious. Story 33. He knows what he's doing. Extreme right is full of these nihilist, edgy insider symbols and jokes, which they can deny when challenged. When pressed, he's going to deny it and ridicule people who make the accusation as paranoid losers. But of course it's not a coincidence. Story 34. When I saw the picture, I thought people were really reaching. Everybody can get caught in a picture giving the Nazi salute halfway through a wave. Then I saw the video. Nope, that was a Nazi salute. He turned and did it the same way again. I'm sure he will officially write it off as an accident, but it's bad. Story 35. I'm not right-wing by any means, but I've always hated the Republicans or Nazis crowd. But this pissed me off. Whether he intentionally did it or not, it looks exactly like a Sieg Heil and he needs to man up and take accountability. Story 36. Americans often justify their gun control laws with we need to be able to fight the government if needed. Now they have a Nazi and a felon leading the country, and I don't see any armed rebellion. Story 37. How are people defending this? They're acting like either A, he is a child incapable of critical thinking and did the Nazi salute on accident, B, it's not the Nazi salute because he said something nice beforehand. It's as if they thought the first take Hitler did the salute. He said we are going to take over the world and kill a huge part of the population. Hitler took over with small little pushes that didn't seem that bad. You have a new government that's threatening to go to war for allies' territories. You had high government officials Musk trying to destabilize other govs the UK, and then members of his government doing something like looks, feels and tastes like a Nazi salute. Story 38. Can anyone explain why a Nazi would support H-1B visa holders? The dude was probably just on a rush of giving a speech. The more worrying aspect is that as an unelected person, he has office in the White House, or that every single tech oligarch was at the inauguration. It's going to be like this for the next 4 years. They rile you on the small stuff while they enrich themselves. Edit before you downvote. Here is ADL confirming that those call this a Nazi salute are just being hyperbolic. Story 39. The inauguration of a U.S. president featured an unstable billionaire oligarch from apartheid-era South Africa giving a hyped-up Nazi salute. There was a time when such a thing would have been considered entirely impossible in this country. Now, it barely rates mention in the MSM. Seeing this go down is like seeing someone you love descend into raving madness. It's both frightening and heartbreaking. I miss the America I used to know and feel deeply proud of. That country is gone. Story 40. Hi, German here. I've learned a lot about the rise and fall of the Nazis in school and from family alike. The things that lead to it, what drove people to vote for it, and quite frankly he's a fucking disgusting piece of... Story 41. As a non-American, Trump and his trumpetes seem intent on speedrunning the ruination of the US. We're not even a few days in and nonsense like this is kicking off. This is just one aspect of that. So it's going to be interesting to see how, this time, as he knows the mechanics of being a president and what he can get away with anything it seems, just what'll happen next with his unhinged mates. If he's president for the full term, you'll be surprised. What'll never ever understand is how the majority voted this in. That I just can't get my head around. Story 42. People saying it was a gesture of love, okay, but perhaps he could have picked from the other less offensive 89 degrees of arm placement, and done any other hand gesture like a love heart or a clenched fist into an open upwards palm as if throwing his love out there, not a downward open palm at literally the worst angle. Story 43. I hate to say it, but considering he was saying my heart goes out to you at the time, I suspect this was a massive but inadvertent blunder on his part rather than an actual intentional Nazi salute. But inadvertent or not, he's still the same racist ignorant that he's always been. Story 44. Elon Musk has now identified himself as a Nazi. No matter if he backtracks or says he was trolling, he is a Nazi, now and forever. Do with that what you will. Story 45. Those were Nazi salutes. No ifs, ands, buts or excuses of enthusiasm. With that gaslighting noise, the world faces dark days ahead. The irony, many of the morons who voted for Trump and are part of his cult would have had ancestors who fought against the Nazis in World War II. Said ancestors would be cartwheeling in their graves right now. It's fucked, he's fucked, America is fucked, the whole world is fucked. We need a million Luigi's right now. Story 46. He's doing a Nazi salute as a leader of a neo-Nazi party. The GOP are openly Nazis and they're celebrating their win in the 2024 elections. They're gonna rule as if they have a mandate from God. Story 47. I've read before that America hasn't had any real struggles in its history. Are Americans ready to finally struggle for their legitimate rights against their fellow people? Story 48. My grandfather dropped bombs on Nazis in WW2. He came home to a country that refused to say being a Nazi or waving a swastika was illegal. Nothing says free speech like giving hate speech a haven. If I assault someone wearing the most recognizable symbol of hate, I go to prison for hate. How fucked up is that? My country has, at almost every turn, refused to do the right thing. What's the Churchill quote? America will always do the right thing when all else has been exhausted. My parents, who told me to never worry about this, and their entire generation deserve to watch this happen because of how goddamn morally neutered they are. Now, at the end of their lives, they get to pass knowing their children's lives are worse off. Jesus will surely save us. Where is he? My girlfriend is Jewish. My feelings are rather clear. Story 49. This is beyond the pale. You cannot tell me with a straight face and half a brain that was not a Nazi salute. Those who are saying things like it's a slip-up or it's a misunderstanding are either completely historically ignorant of what that means or enabling the behavior itself. We should be speaking loudly that this racist rhetoric should never be tolerated again in history and not ignore it, hoping it goes away, because if it's not challenged and brought down, democracy is dying, and those who refuse to say anything about the obvious signs are contributing to its death. You don't have to be actively evil for evil to prevail. Ignoring it serves its needs as well. Story 50. The media will sanewash it. The GOP will love it and respond in kind. Liberals will write a change.org petition to someone. Leftists will do what they can to organize their communities. The salute itself seems pretty on brand for an apartheid supporter. Don't know why people are surprised. They voted in Nazis. They're gonna do Nazi. Buckle up. Story 51. You should try watching the full video with audio and not clipped. It was definitely the wrong gesture to make, but it's 100 not what he intended. He created an awkward moment for himself and then his autism took over and we got what we got. Story 52. I fear that from now on, people will start using the salute with the words "My heart goes out to America," normalizing it. It will later change into "I salute America" and eventually be used to interchangeably salute the USA, Trump or the party. Historians in the future will name it the MAGA salute. Story 53. The BFF of a man who was near quoting Hitler word for word in his speeches is a Nazi. Shocker. This is what 77 million Americans voted for. Some, because they're evil and wanted it, and others, because they were too stupid to see what was staring them right in their face. Oh, and spoiler, your eggs won't be getting any cheaper. Story 54. There have been a few cases over the last few years of speakers at mainstream Republican conservative events that are suspect but could be argued away no matter how tenuously as waves to the crowd. That was not the case here. no one anywhere ever has waved by rapidly shooting their arm out like that, stiff as a board. Those were unambiguous, emphatic Sieg Heils. Any questions about whether the administration is going full mask-off fascism were laid to rest today. It is, and it's what the American people have chosen, knowing full well what they were voting for. As a Canadian, my sense of kinship with America has been eroding the last decade, but the bond was still there. I've disagreed with a lot of U.S. policies, but this is the first time in my life I've looked at America as potentially being an outright adversary. Story 55. You get to choose. Possibility 1, that Elon Musk purposefully did the salute in order to dog whistle or otherwise signal support for white supremacist, neo-Nazi, or other fascist policies and organizations. Possibility 2, that Elon Musk is out of control of his physical body, possibly from frequent drug use, or perhaps untreated mental illness, and that he should be kept out of positions of authority until he gets a handle on his health at some time in the future. Possibility 3, that Elon Musk is an incompetent fool who doesn't understand customs in countries from Western civilization. He has no conception that his gesture is highly inappropriate. He should therefore not be involved in any official capacity for the United States government, because he has clearly failed to assimilate, even to the degree of a typical 3 to 5 year Mexican or South Asian migrant, who knows not to Hitler salute in public. Side note: my wife's family hosted exchange students from Europe. They learned not to point at objects with their middle finger within a day or two of being in the USA. Story 56. I think Elon Musk is, without question, the lamest human being on the planet. He's a 12-year-old Xbox Live troll in the body of a grown man, so I think that was 100% intentional. I see it already. He's going to try to play coy about it and say, oh, I was just trying to say my heart goes out to them, but do it very smugly where you know he's being sarcastic because he's one of those corny, emotionally stunted man-children who thinks being a shitty person is a flex and not deeply troubling behavior. Then he's going to continuously meme about it because, again, he thinks it's cool and edgy and doesn't realize that all the same people think he's a dweeb. Story 57. He's not a Nazi, and it's ridiculous that this is even a topic of discussion. It was an awkward, heartfelt gesture of my heart goes out to you, putting his hand on his chest and extending it to the audience. Reddit is just being Reddit on this one. Story 58. It was a Nazi salute. Stop beating around the bush and being afraid to call these people out. They are pushing fascism. Trump, who did not see that coming. Story 59. Hitler was not the richest man in the world, nor did he have massive influence over the most powerful and stupid president on the planet. Also, my grandfather fought the Nazis here in Greece. Disgusted is what I feel. Story 60. MAGA said because he is so happy. We all know it's because the right people are now in power to keep power for a long time and take us back 60 years. Musk already backs the Nazi party in Germany. He wants to be the next Hitler. Story 61. Sadly is going to be sane-washed, normalized, and forgotten in the news cycle in a day or two, because television ratings or something. If this is the equivalent of the Sean Spicer crowd-size speech, it's going to be tame in contrast of what might be to come. Story 62. I think the little thinks he's being cool and edgy and doesn't have any fucking idea or interest in the weight that action carries. He comes across more of a spoilt brat who just spits his dummy out. That just gave even nastier pricks an open pass to being cunts. To America, you, the rest of us, disgusted, nervous, afraid. Story 63. I'm more sure than ever that Elon rigged this election. He has Trump in his pocket, and if he steps out of line, Elon will inform us about his election interference and bring down daddy in the process. I can't prove anything, but I'd put money of that bet.